Welcome to AstroEnergy with Astrologer Angel Shelley Overton. Hello and welcome to the AstroEnergy show for May 10th, 2016. My name is Shelley Overton, and I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida. I want to welcome you to the show and say thank you very much for coming by. We are going to have a good show today. We are going to be talking about what's going on in the generations. And if you don't understand what that means, it's just each generation has hallmarks in astrology, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to also go over the planetary influences of the week. So my number, if you want to call in and get a reading, is 347-994-3365. And then once you get on, you can raise your hand by pushing the 1 on the keypad. Anyway, my name is Shelley Overton, and so I'm in Orlando. It's a rather overcast day here. And it was a lovely weekend. I ended up making breakfast for my mother and my father and my daughter this past weekend for Mother's Day. And we had a nice little breakfast here at my house. And then I went up to New Smyrna Beach with my mom and my daughter. And anyway, I don't even know. Did anybody hear my intro? Maybe I thought I was open here on open mic, but unfortunately, if I wasn't, I'm just going to tell you real quick. My name is Shelley Overton. This is the AstroEnergy show on Blog Talk Radio. So anyway, yeah, we had a really lovely Mother's Day and went up to the beach and went up and down, saw some of the boutiques. I've been in an area of New Smyrna I hadn't been in for a while, and went past but have never actually gone in the boutique, so it was really nice. Blue sky, beautiful sunny day. Not like today at all. It is overcast and about 80 degrees already, so it's kind of a muggy Florida day. Not terribly fun. Anyway, okay, let's get on with some of the astrology of the day. Cancer rising right here in Florida right now, and the moon just went into Cancer, so I can even tell you when. I'll look that up for you. So let's see here. Getting used to the show, just kind of warming up a little bit. So we had a new moon last Friday in Taurus, and then Jupiter went direct on Monday. I don't know if you felt it. I definitely felt a lot of positive energy coming in, especially with the sunny day over the weekend. I think we got a lot of beautiful weather from the Jupiter going direct. And I'm sorry, my voice is a little froggy. I think it's because of the overcast sky and some pollen. I was just outside with the pollen. So yeah, sorry. Let's see here. Moon, well, that's tomorrow. Moon entered Cancer at 1:24 p.m. yesterday and enters Leo tomorrow at 5:32 p.m. So, oh my goodness, I'm so drowsy today. I apologize. I'm just having all sorts of stuff going on. So, okay, so Cancer rising, Cancer moon. So it's about holding up in the house, not surprising. A little bit drowsy energy going on with the moon in Cancer, because moon in Cancer, and this is interesting because I was just writing my book and I did the moons, and so I was just doing the moons yesterday, and moon in Cancer is the sign of the mom, home and family, and because Cancer is about being really sensitive and emotional and connected, we want to seek out some place where we feel safe. And so that's the energy of today and tomorrow. We have Leo with nothing in the sign. We have Jupiter at 13 degrees direct. I mean, I've been talking about it for weeks, and it's finally here. So I'm very, very thrilled with that. So he is opposite Neptune at 11 degrees, and Neptune, thankfully, is also moving direct. So Jupiter opposing Neptune. He was already opposing Neptune, but that just meant that he was having a difficult time with not only letting go of energy, but details. So it's a combination because not only is Jupiter in Virgo, and of course we've said this before, Jupiter squares Virgo. The sign Jupiter rules, Sagittarius, squares Virgo. And Virgo opposes Pisces, which is where the moon is. So Jupiter is really, I think Sagittarians right now are probably pretty frustrated just because Mars is retrograde in their sign, Saturn is retrograde in their sign, and both Mars and Saturn are squaring the ruler of their sign, as well as Neptune, which is a co-ruler of Sagittarius. Or is it Jupiter is the co-ruler of Pisces? Oh, I don't know. I get it confused sometimes. But I think it's Jupiter's the co-ruler of Pisces. So, hang on one second. Wow, we're just having a day today. So, a little bit more congestion also from the pollen. And I have a cat, as you know, and I was outside with the cat too. He likes to chase lizards around the yard and eat them. So, I am feeding him, feeding him extra cat food so he doesn't chase and eat the lizards. Anyway, so yeah, Sagittarians are feeling a little stressed out because everything that pretty much quintessential energy of a Sagittarius is being conflicted with other energies because Mars taking action, which Sagittarians are very active. Mars is masculine energy. Sagittarius is a masculine sign, and it's going backwards. So it's saying, the men are trying to behave in a forward motion in an assertive, aggressive way, but it's being thwarted. So we're not seeing culmination from those efforts. That can be highly frustrating. So not only is Mars feeling that, but then the Mars square to Neptune. Neptune is not about action. Neptune is about relaxation and allowing, as opposed to asserting and taking forward action. It is about allowing things to come to you and not necessarily taking action. So Mars retrograde, not able to move, squaring Pisces, having to deal with emotions and the life that is hidden. It is asked to slow down, and he doesn't want to slow down. He wants to go fast, but he's in a receptive feminine energy of Pisces. So it's the difference between being on ground, on dry land, and running at full speed and having to go through deep, muddy water, because we have a lot of earth energy and a lot of water energy, and that makes mud. Well, actually, a little bit of water. I shouldn't say a lot. We've got two planets. Well, we have a light, which is the moon, and we have a planet, which is Neptune, in water. And then we have Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, Sun, Pluto, all in earth. And then we have a little bit of fire with Uranus in Aries, Saturn and Mars in Sagittarius. So water moistens earth, earth is molded and then fired, and then we get pottery. So that's the energy of the time, that we are using the water energy to change earth energy, shift and mold it into what we want, which is all of the grand trine energy going on between Jupiter, Pluto, and let's see, they're at 17 and 13, so Venus and Mercury are the closest energies to that, and so we have a grand trine between Mercury and Venus in Taurus, Jupiter in Virgo, and Pluto in Capricorn right now. And that means that they're all working towards building something new. And we had the new moon Friday, so it was started then. The seed was planted then. Mercury is not clear about what it wants to do, not clear about where it's going. And that's about around money, around growth. Like, where do we want to grow the seed that we plant there? How more so, how are we going to grow the seed that we've planted? And then We have the North Node in Mercury, Virgo, which is the symbol looks like an M. So my mind just translated the M into Mercury, which is the ruling planet of Virgo. That's how my mind works. It's all tangentials. So North Node in Virgo retrograde. So it is about learning something that we are not necessarily familiar with. Oh, I'm so sorry. I cannot stop yawning right now. Oh my goodness, that's what happens whenever the clouds cover me anymore. I mean, I never used to have this amount of energy affecting me when the weather changed, but seriously, whenever the cloud covers me, I just want to go to sleep. So that's Neptune in Pisces. Okay, so Saturn in Sagittarius, and let's see, he's got a trine going on. He's at 14 degrees Sagittarius trining Uranus. He's also squaring Jupiter. And let's see what else he's doing. He's squaring Neptune as well. So there is, I guess it's a T-square. I think there should be a name when there's a T-square, but I guess there's also an opposition as part of the T-square. It's got another triangle, so my mind, is thinking geometrically. It's a different type. It's an equilateral. I guess they're all equilateral. Trines, grand trines, and squares, because it's a 45 degree on one side and then 90 degrees with two 45s. So anyway, don't get into math, Shelley. It will only go downhill from there. So we've got that energy going on with Saturn and Pisces and Jupiter and Neptune. Again, having a difficult time. And then we have a little bit of a discomfort going on with all the Taurus energy to Saturn and Mars, because Saturn and Mars are in conjunct Taurus, which means they're 150 degrees apart. And that means they are not exactly opposite, which is a synergistic energy, so they work in tandem. But they're a little bit off the direct opposition, which means they're kind of uncomfortable. They're not exactly in a place where they can utilize the energy of each other, and they're not in a place where they're in positive aspect, which would be trine or 120 degrees. They're actually in that discomfort zone, which is 150. So it's like something's not quite right. Something doesn't feel comfortable, and the energies do not mesh pleasantly. So Taurus is about taking its sweet time and really getting to understand a problem, getting to know it. And Saturn is about taking the quick, non-detailed action. So they're really coming from two different areas and arenas. So Venus is at 13 Taurus, and she's wanting to be romantic, wanting to connect to partner, and Mars in Sagittarius is wanting to have freedom, yet it's being restricted. So overall, we have Mercury retrograde right now, and Pluto retrograde, Saturn retrograde, and Mars retrograde. So it's a lot of retrograde energy up in the sky, and that means that we are going back over some of the energies that we had already discovered, already gone over. But it's part of the process. When we go through this, it's all part of the process. Pluto in Capricorn at 17 degrees, again 17, and it's trining Mercury at 18. So it's about the earth energy, about looking to the structure, what is hidden. The hidden energy is coming out because Pluto wants to find the depth of something, the true heart of the truth. It's about, and I know Scorpio, which Pluto rules, has kind of a bad reputation, and Pluto ergo also has a bad reputation of being negative or dark or hiding things. That isn't always the case. It hides things because it sees them so clearly. It hides it because it's very apparent, and instead of projecting that out to the world and being exposed, which is really the core of what Scorpio is all about, is like not being exposed, because they really do feel things so strongly that it can be on their sleeve, and then everyone would know who they are, and they would, be exposed. So they hide from that because things are so clear, things are so apparent with that Pluto energy. Retrograde means that they are more brooding and they withdraw. And so the Pluto energy, wherever it is in your chart in Capricorn, wherever Capricorn falls in your chart, that's where you're going to be a little bit more withdrawn, probably brooding over the fact that the structures as you know it are being challenged. And the positive side of that is that all the Taurus and Virgo energy in Earth are really supporting the growth of the material world. So it's not just the emotionalism of the shift, but it's also the physical, tangible shift. Now, in Orlando, I have all this road construction. It's in subdivisions. It's in main thoroughfares. It displaces large quantities of traffic in my area. And I think probably nationally that's the story right now, because a lot of roads have been past their prime and a lot of bridges. So those are being shored up right now, which is a Pluto and Capricorn kind of thing. It's about the system and the structure and getting it moving forward again, and, you know, really making things the way they need to be structurally supported and accurate. So that's what's going on with Pluto. We have Neptune in Pisces, again, opposing Jupiter, squaring Mars and Saturn, and let's see what else he's doing. He's sextile to all the Taurus energy. So he's bringing up some things from the past, some emotional issues that can actually help us understand in an intuitive way what's going on with our finances. So right now, because Venus, Mercury, Sun are very much about investments, property, the material world. My parents just got a new vehicle yesterday, so it can be about getting a new vehicle, changing out the old one. It's about our possessions. It's about the material, physical. It's about our bodies and our physical structures. And so it is really a time of very strong energy around the physicality of living life, and also the well-being of our material possessions and goods. Let's see, we have Uranus in Aries. He is direct, and he's trining Saturn and Mars. So Uranus is giving us a time and supporting this process of Saturn and Mars through ideas, through understanding and self-promotion and networking. So while we are not physically able to fly and take action, we are able to come up with the ideas and really understand the ideas around us and find people to network with. So hang on one second. I'm just trying to, oh, darn it. I was just trying to look at my little people online in my chat room and say, hey, but my computer wasn't going up. So he's doing pretty good, although structurally, like anything that has to do with the physicality or systems is at odds with Uranus right now. So it's more about trying to do things behind the scenes and not so much self-promotion for Pluto. Pluto wants to be of service and not necessarily get the recognition, but Uranus is saying, no, it's time to be in the spotlight and to really shine with the ideas you have to offer. So that's kind of everything in a nutshell. And we're going to take a caller here, and this is caller, as soon as it catches up, 619. Hi, 619. How are you? Hello? Is this Steve?
Yeah.
Steve, is that you?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I just want to make sure I got you okay, and okay, that I'm talking to the right person. How are you doing?
You are. Good. I was wondering, I work in a call center, and it's been slow for all of us for the past few months, and I'm wondering just for me in particular, I market products, office products, businesses all over the country. Is there any particular type of business I should be trying to market to, given my transit?
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Let me just look at it real quick here. Marketing, Mars is marketing and also Aries. So your Mars is in Pisces in the house of partnering. So let me see. That could be, honestly, it could be photography. And with Neptune right there,
Okay.
any type of photography equipment, photographic services, things like that. Do you have like an amalgam of those type of things? So it's more than one kind of product that you would be able to market? Oh, interesting. Okay. And Mars is in Sagittarius retrograde, and that's in the house of home and family. So specifically for you, with the Mars transit, it is much more, well, let me see, there's a lot of things actually. It can be home goods. It can be like appliances. I'm just kind of combining energies here, trying to get a good visual. I'm trying to read it.
I was thinking in terms of the fifth house, the first house, and the ninth house because of the decline, but that was how I was approaching it with Jupiter and everything.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'll get to that also. I mean, there are a number of different areas of your chart that we can look at. We can look at Venus. We can look at, your house of money, which is a Libra house, which is ruled by Venus. We can look at your career house, which is ruled by Mercury and Gemini. Money from career is Cancer. Cancer is, again, the fourth house in family. So specifically for you, you're calling me with the moon in Cancer in the house of money from career and also networking. So that tells me goods of the home. And so, furniture, couches, appliances, anything that would help parents do their job easier, food, things that are quick and easy to get prepared, anything like that, things you would find at Lowe's. Anything you would find at Lowe's.
What about home care?
Home health care? Absolutely, you could do that. Yeah, Jupiter in Virgo is home health care, or it would be health care. Because Mars and the Sagittarius energy that Jupiter rules is in home in your chart, that would help you connect to that audience. But the only caution I would say with that is because your Saturn and your Mars are retrograde down there, it means that you're not connecting on the same level you would as when it's going forward. And when it goes forward, it's going to be the middle of summer. So Mars doesn't go direct, I believe, until the end of June. So, it might be like, yeah, you can connect, but you're not necessarily going to culminate. Like, it won't completely gel. They might be like, oh yeah, that sounds good, but then you might not close the sale. I can't even get the words out. You might not close the sale. Mercury, it's more okay. You know what? The Sagittarius energy is telling me there could be some real estate stuff. Is there real estate stuff going on personally for you? Are you thinking of moving or selling your house or buying a house or something like that?
No, but not really. No.
Okay, well, I think that after, like in late summer, that's definitely going to be an option for you. You're going to be wanting to do something more about moving or changing your environment. So if there is an opportunity to make a sale or buy something, I think that's coming around then.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, right now everything seems to be, healthcare would be good. Something related to the home and to healthcare and family, possessions. Definitely, you've got all that. Taurus is also up in the Sagittarius house, so it could be musical instruments. It could be educational services. That could be good. I can't really think of anything else.
That's good. That's good. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Is there any of that you can sell?
Yes, there is. And it's so funny you said about connections, because a couple of days ago I had a dream about being related to work, the need for me to convey a connection between people, myself. Yeah, so that kind of makes sense. Thank you so much, Shelley. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. That Jupiter in your first house just went direct on Monday. So it means, it literally is 2 degrees off your natal Jupiter. So it's like, okay, now you're freed up. You really are. Like, your personality just got freed up to learn more, teach more, connect in with people. And so, I think it's going to really be a positive energy for you personally, just because it's in your first house. And it'll be coming up on your sun probably late summer as well. Okay?
Yeah, 20 degrees. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure. Good talking to you again.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. All right, let's take 770. Hi, 770. How are you, and who is this?
Hi, this is Maddie. How are you?
Hi, Maddie. I'm doing fine. What's going on with you?
I want to know if this is a good time to have a friend. I have an extra bedroom, and he would like to rent it out, and I was just wondering if this is a good time to do that.
Actually, it probably is on the cusp of being a good time. Let me see. I'm just going to look over your chart a little bit more and see what influences are where. Friendship is the 5th house. Right now, Saturn and Mars are in your 5th house retrograde. Leo is also the ruler of the 5th house naturally, which is your 1st house in your chart.
Mm-hmm.
I would say definitely when the moon gets into Leo, I think that will be better, which is only tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon. Have you,
But he
you
did
know,
tell
like if
me, he did tell me it won't be until like the beginning of June.
Oh, okay. So let me do a chart for that time frame real quick. We'll just see what that looks like. Do you mind telling me where you are, like in the country? Is that okay?
I'm in Georgia.
Okay, Atlanta?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's pretty close to Florida where I'm at. I just wanted to put in a location, to see if it made any difference for the chart I was doing. So, interesting. June 1st, Jupiter is opposite Neptune and Venus, Sun is opposite Saturn. So that means that there is a cardinal cross, or not cardinal cross, a mutable cross, or excuse me, I'm sorry, fixed cross in the sky. Hold on. Let me just double check that. Yeah, fixed cross. So if you do it then, you have to be absolutely certain. And I would say June 1st, it's a very profound day because you've got a square in the sky between, I'll tell you all the planets, Jupiter, Neptune, Venus, Sun, and Saturn. So it's about a difference of opinion and ideology and how you think. And then you have a grand trine still in the Earth energy with Jupiter at kind of the center point of that energy. Jupiter is in a cardinal, or I get so used to cardinal cross, in the fixed cross, and it's also the key point for the grand trine, which means major life change around health, it can be around learning things and growth and having your boundaries and being able to stand up for what you want. So I would say if you have him come into your home at the beginning of June, that is going to be the energy of this time in your house, that it's going to be a huge shift and change around how you think about things, how you interact with people, if you're getting your own needs met, if you're able to speak up for yourself. That's going to be the key. I want to tell you that if he does at the beginning of June, there's a chance that it's going to be really difficult for him to move on and get out of there if you do let him in.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Mars will be at the end degrees of Scorpio retrograde, but it's about 30 days before it goes direct, and it's like they're very stubborn. I mean, I'm doing a chart for this time, June 1st, so it's 11/26, June 1st in Atlanta, and that time Mars is almost at the end degrees, which is a very fixed, like, it wants to move to the next house, but it's retrograde, so it's like, no, I'm not gonna. And then Saturn's also just over the cusp of into romance, creativity, and children, but just got out of the house, home, and family at that point. This is an horary chart, by the way. This is a chart for the question. Kind of, it's a combination. It's actually kind of a hybrid that I'm doing. But
okay.
Yeah, it's a combination of the question and then the moment in time that you would do it. So it's like a horary electional. But I'm seeing a lot of squares, and the moon is coming up on Uranus as well. And Uranus doesn't want to be told what to do, which means the moon also doesn't. It's a new energy. And and Uranus is a very strong energy of freedom. So with the moon literally at the exact same degree, only off by 9 minutes on the first, it's really going to be, I think, contentious. I think that there's a lot of stuff going on in this chart about wanting freedom and wanting to have your say and be right about things, and a lot of ego going on, and not getting that energy, and not like you guys will be at odds if you live together. That's what it looks like.
Thanks.
I mean, so many ways.
I felt that, because when we spoke last night, I say, did you say this is going to be for a short while? He said, yeah. He said, I'm going to do some traveling, and in the beginning when he called me, when we spoke, he said, until I get, I'm gonna get my own mortgage. And I said, oh, okay. And I'm going to do some traveling. Okay. Then he said that I'm going to look for some job. I'm going to look for another job. He does ITT, and I guess he left that company. But I do have money. Then last night when we spoke, he said, I said, you said it's going to be for a short while. He said, yeah, unless I get too comfortable. And I said,
that's
oh,
it.
no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and that's definitely what I would see about that situation. I mean, to me, this chart, it's like whatever happens on June 1st is not going to change easily. It's like June 1st, if you want something to actually stay around a while, do it on June 1st, because not only do you have the regular square going on, it means everybody's squared off in the sky saying, no, I'm the one, and it's fixed. So he doesn't want to move. It's very stubborn. So if you don't want him to go, I'd say, yeah, sure. If you want it forever, yeah, go ahead and let him come in.
No. No. And being a Cancer person, a triple Cancer, he's very moody. And no.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, and again, when you have a lot of Cancer energy, my mom has a Cancer rising and 4 planets in Cancer, and she kicks over to the Capricorn energy, and I have a friend whose father is a Cancer, and it's like when you have so much Cancer in a chart, you can also be very restrictive and stern. And for you, that falls in your 12th house, which means he's going to affect your subconscious. And not only that, if he's a Cancer, you've got Saturn in Cancer, which he's going to see you as like a mother figure and an authority figure, that he gets a certain amount of boundaries from you that he likes, or that he may not be able to break away from because of some other psychological thing in his makeup. Because all that Cancer, they're looking for the structure. And you've got also Mars and Sun in Capricorn, which gives him that structure. So he will absolutely, for you, be a subconscious drain. He's going to, I would just honestly advise against it. There's so many things in these charts that I looked at that would just scream red flag, unless you're the type of person who really wants to have that consistent structure of someone there, but they're going to be, it's like you're going to be enmeshed. This is a chart of complete connectedness and immersion in their stuff too. So.
Yeah. And I don't want that. I want to continue to have my freedom.
Yeah.
I like, because he has moon, sun, moon, and rising in Cancer, and I know.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that, no.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, honestly.
Yeah. So my spirit was speaking to me right then.
Awesome. Yeah. That was a definite good call on your part.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome.
Great.
My pleasure. Good talking to you again. Okay. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I'm going to do something. I'm sitting here. I've got callers, and I'm going to come back to callers. But first, I'm going to take a break. And I realized just now that I had not talked about the generation. So I'm going to take about 5 minutes when I get back and talk about that. And then we're going to take some more calls. And so don't worry. We'll be back soon. We'll take calls. So we're just going to take a quickie break here. Welcome back. My name is Shelley Overton. You are listening to the AstroEnergy Show on Blog Talk Radio, and I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida. If you are interested in getting a personal reading with me, you can get me at astrologerangel.com. So, speaking of astrologerangel.com, I just put up a blog on the generations and understanding the generations. So, what does that mean? Well, the generations are kind of what is now contemporarily labeled a segment of time, and people born in those different times are influencers and change the fabric of our day-to-day lives and our society and where we're going. So I wanted to first off encourage you to go and stop by astrologerangel.com to read the blog and maybe subscribe so you can get all the blogs, updates, things like that in your mailbox. But the generation, so Generation X was the generation that followed the baby boomers. So baby boomers are 46 to 64. Gen X is 65 to around 1980. 1980 to 2000 is considered Gen Y, and then Gen Y is the millennials. And then Gen Z comes after that, which is the current generation. So astrologically, though, personally, I look at it two different ways, and I don't know if other astrologers look at it the second way, but Pluto is a planet that takes a good while to get through a sign. So Pluto was in Libra from 1971 until 1963. So about, what is that? I can't even, 12 years. So it's about 12 years in between signs. So it was in Scorpio from October, November of 83 through November 11th of 95. And then it was in Sagittarius till 2008, Capricorn till, it will be in Capricorn until 2024, which seems like an extra long time. And I noticed that before. I was looking these up and I'm like, why would it seem so long? But I think it's because of the retrogrades and maybe the place within its orb that makes it take such a long time. And actually, also, when it goes into a sign, it begins in that sign, then it'll retrograde, and sometimes it retrogrades back out of the sign, and then it goes back in again. So it depends on where you make the demarcation to actually get out of a sign. So unless I just made some strange thing, I'm looking at this. Pluto actually will be in Aquarius. I'm looking at, I think that there's got to be something wrong with my ephemeris because it's saying it's all the way up to 2030. And I don't know how that could be. So anyway, question for another time. So generationally, you look to Pluto as one of the indicators, and Neptune, I look through to 3 planets. I look to Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So when in this article, I was talking mostly about the late 20th century and into the 21st. So from 1980 through 2020. But currently, because of the politics, we have people with Pluto and Leo in the running, and also right on the cusp. Obama is right on the cusp of Virgo, but Donald Trump is someone who has Pluto and Leo, and that means that there is an attraction as the generation to being leaders and to saying that this is how it should go. This is my vision for the future, as opposed to, say, the Pluto in Virgo generation, which is my generation. It's the 1960s. It's about not only the generation of change, or along the lines to more humility or altruism, so that it's a generation that basically works behind the scenes. They are the workers of the Zodiac, and they also are the generation that came in with Uranus next to Pluto, so that energy amplifies people born in the late baby boomer generation. And it does include the people with Pluto and Leo, that there is some of that energy of going against groupthink, but yet also having a certain amount of groupthink, because the Aquarian or Uranus energy is about seeing things as a collective. How can we all, as a community, work together? And then you get into the 70s children, who are Pluto and Libra, and then Pluto and Scorpio are the children of the 90s. And then you get into, well, the children of the 90s have Uranus in Sagittarius, Capricorn. It splits between between Sag and Capricorn, and then Neptune is in Capricorn as well. So you've got double Capricorn and a Scorpio energy from the beginning of the 90s. So it is a very intense energy. It's about structure and shift and change. And that generation is absolutely a generation that came in to make strong changes in the structure, because Pluto in Scorpio is about really finding the things that were hidden in our world and that are not necessarily out in the open. So looking at it astrologically, that Pluto energy moving through all the signs will create a decade or more, a little over a decade, of people who are born with all the same drive as a collective when they came in. So that's one way to look at it, looking at each generation through Pluto, and then how Pluto combines with other slower moving planets. The other way I've noticed personally is looking at the generations and the overall descriptive words that you see. And I noticed this initially with the me generation. They called the 70s kids the me generation. So it wasn't necessarily, I take it back, it wasn't necessarily the children born in the 70s, but they are also reflecting this energy. It's more so the energy of the vibe that happened in the 70s, which is me, me, me. So if you go by that, then the 70s were an Aries generation because it's new and it's about me. That's what infants do. Now moving on to the 80s as a decade, the 80s were all about conservatism and big hair and, shoulder pads and having a lot. It was a lot about status and money and the conservative side of things. So it's all about money, which is Taurus. So that decade was Taurus. Then the next one, the 90s, was Gemini. And then Gemini was that decade of communications when technology and computers really were gaining more ground in home, personal computers, things like that. So it was about connecting on that level in the 90s. And then, and of course, the 90s had Pluto and Scorpio, so it's the grunge generation musically. So you have that. And then you move on to the 2000s, which would be the Cancer generation, and the Cancer decade. And they were very much about cocooning, and I think that term was coined back then. And so, well, except for the movie Cocoon, but I don't think it was coined then. But that decade was very much about home and renovations, or at least from my perspective. It was more about hanging out around the home. I know a lot of children that were coming of age in that decade weren't able to move out in the 2000s because of the recession. And then we move into Leo, and now look at the Leo decade. This decade, so we're in 2016, it's about ego. It's about putting yourself out there. It's about celebrity, and instead of having politicians, we have celebrities becoming politicians. It's about reality TV shows. So that's another way to look at the decades as a generation. So there are multiple ways of breaking it down. Some of the stuff that I'm talking about, I didn't actually talk about in the article, but there is a lot of other information in the article. So if you want to go to Astrologer Angel, there's more on it there. So that brings us to a Virgo decade coming up in the 2020s, which is about healing and about altruism and volunteerism, and more so moving into potentially militaristic energy, but more so the organization of the military as opposed to war or anything like that. It's more of a hierarchy of military. So it'll be interesting to see what the next decade brings, because there's just so much energy going on and shift and change with the Pluto moving into Aquarius also. Okay, so I just wanted to get that out because that's the title of the show. So now we can go back to our callers and take another call. So we have 863 on this. 863, I didn't already call you, did I?
No, you haven't
Okay.
spoken to me yet.
Oh, awesome. Have you called the show before?
If I did, it was quite a long time ago. I think I listened to them before.
Awesome. What's your name?
Julia.
Okay. Hi, Julia. And
Hello.
I don't have any of your chart information, so I'm going to ask you for that, and then we'll look at your chart.
Okay, great.
So I need
My
your birthday.
September 16th, 1961.
Okay, and what time?
10:52 a.m.
Okay.
Salem Center, Ohio.
Okay, wonderful. So what can I do for you today?
I'm looking at relocating, and I need to, of course, seek employment once I figure out where to move and when to move. So I wanted to get your insights of, kind of what's the best way to go about doing this, the best time, and all that good stuff.
Okay, wonderful. Well, let's just look at your chart and kind of pick it apart and see what we have. So for you, the Sagittarius energy, which is the energy of selling a house. Now, did you say you're going to sell a house, or you're just wanting to move?
I would be renting to begin with.
Okay, but you don't own one now to have to get rid of?
Yeah, no, I don't own one now.
Okay, wonderful. Right now with Mars and Saturn in your first house of self, retrograde means that, yes, you do have a desire to move and get on with things. Jupiter just turned direct this week, so that means Jupiter's the ruler of Sagittarius, so that means he's kind of the indicator of some of the energy of how it's going to start to manifest. Definitely there's some opportunity of jobs in other areas, a career, because it's up in your career house. But because of the square with Mars and Saturn, it's kind of like you're feeling like you really want to do it, but you're not able to actually follow through with it. Or if you do, it won't be necessarily exactly like you had planned it to be.
Yes.
And especially beneficial to yourself, having two planets that are pretty strong planets for your chart because they're in the first house of self. Not going direct means that you have a lot of energy that you've got to pay attention to that needs to be cleared up before you can move forward. And so let me just look at this. Right now Mars just went over your moon, and he's going to go all the way back into Scorpio, which is still in your first house. But what it does is, if you've been depressed for a while, it's not surprising, because Saturn was going through Scorpio in your chart for a couple of years before he got into Sagittarius last year. So there was a time of probably depression and maybe not valuing yourself the way you should have. And so you're going to feel a little bit of that when Mars gets back into Scorpio through the month of June. And then he'll be there through the end of July. And let me see. Let me just double check that. Yeah, he gets into back into Sagittarius on the 3rd of August. So that's probably going to be a more likely time where you're actually going to feel free to move forward and not going back over past hurts, past wounds, and some of the depression that you might have been feeling recently. So that's a big push forward then. I would say August is most likely the time that you're going to really feel the energies working in your favor. You will probably feel a lot more positivity around work. And I think the other thing around career is that with Pluto up there and Sun in your house of career, it's about feeling appreciated and feeling like you've done so much for other people and they may not have recognized your efforts. It's Virgo, so it's the altruist, but with Jupiter there, it's like, no, you have to see that I'm worth something. And it really is a great, strong time for people who are Virgos or have strong Virgo planets in their chart to really awaken to the fact that you have value in society and you don't have to give away all your services for free. You don't have to be self-effacing. You're worth something. And it's your time to stand up, especially with the grand trine in Earth right now. Pluto, which is an Earth energy and about money, it's in your house of money, and it's coming up on your natal Saturn, which is your life purpose. And you have natal Saturn right next to your Jupiter, which is fortune. So your life purpose and fortune are very similar. You have the ability to create your own fortune. I think, let me look up when Pluto's going to get into the next house, and that will be a really great time for you to have some really strong manifesting of finances. So if you give me a second. I mean, it's a little ways down the road because Pluto is so slow moving, but it's going to be, yeah, and I'm telling you, everybody's going through this about time, 2020. So it's, just over 3 years. What is that, 3.5 years away? So what you're doing is you're really shoring up your finances. You're really getting the call deep within who you are and how you look at money and how you look at responsibility, how you look at your personal worth, and how you look at your worth in the marketplace, and really getting the call to look at the systems and the routines you have around money and how you ask for money, because it's changing. You're going to be coming up on the time where you are being asked to fulfill your life purpose. Now, Saturn in Capricorn is a really strong energy around the elderly or tradition. So, have you had experience with the elderly, or, I would think that you have like a real strong affinity for your grandparents or people who are older. That's a traditional energy with Saturn in Capricorn. Is that something that you've noticed?
Right now I'm temporarily living with my mother because I've just gone through a divorce, and she's 75, so, she's elderly, and me being here is kind of helping both of us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And there's major life changes around that. For financially, I think that particular situation, if you're there for any length of time, like if this is something that, now, is your mom single?
Yes.
Okay, or single or widowed or whatever. So she may actually, like you said, she benefits, but there may be a companion connection there or something where you actually start to rely on each other. The Pluto on your Saturn means that there are a lot of issues around hierarchy and paternalism that you're dealing with around money. And yet your Saturn at 23 Capricorn is saying that your life purpose is to connect to people who are older than you and traditionally hierarchical like bosses or the elderly or parents. And that's really a huge part of your life purpose. So the fact that you've moved in with your mom, I think that's honestly in alignment with what your chart's telling me you need to be doing right now, that you definitely are going to be going through a life change in the next few years that's going to really open up for you. And then by the time Pluto gets into Aquarius, which is a little bit farther down the road, but it's such a momentous time for everybody on this planet that I want to mention it, because for you it goes into the house of writing. And I think that you've got a book in you in the future. It's coming. But right now I think you're right where you need to be. I think as far as money is concerned, after Mars and Saturn go direct, definitely you have the wanderer in your chart, this sense of self. You are a wanderer. You want to go and be free. That's going to continue. And I think that for you, there's opportunities in other places. If you want to take advantage of it financially, you might be able to do it from the home creatively. With Neptune going through your house of home and family, tremendously creative energy when you're in the home environment. Let me look at what else you have. Jupiter up in your career house, too. It's about healing. Do you do any kind of creative thing or healing arts like that, anything like that?
I got, like, the Reiki one, but it
awesome.
just hasn't been something that I've really pursued it. It's just one of those things that I'm kind of a little isolated where I am now. I actually live in Florida, too, in the suburbs of the Disney area.
Okay, so you're just on the other side of the city. Yeah, Davenport, yeah, I live in East Orlando. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I'm about 30 miles from Cocoa.
I feel like, for the last year and a half, everything has just been delay, and like it just drug out, and it's like it has, and this business about wanting to move. It's like, everybody says, well, Jupiter's in Virgo. This is your best year ever. And it's like, well, I'm not seeing any best year ever.
Part of the problem was that Jupiter was in Virgo, went into Virgo, and then it promptly turned retrograde like 3 days into the year. So we had this really awesome energy of, hey, it went in at the end of last year, and then a few days into the beginning of the year, now it's all retrograde. And it just went direct this week. So yes, it's going to start to expand your world career-wise. There's definitely some opportunities with health in the health field if you're interested in anything healing, health, or administrative support is also another great Virgo thing, or even education. So any of those fields, right? Jupiter is right there expanding that for you. And Jupiter's in the house that Capricorn rules. So it is, again, a lot of things come back to that elderly care kind of thing in your chart. So I want to say the middle of summer, like, end of June, beginning of July into August, you're definitely going to have the wanderer inside of you. Saturn is career. It's going to be going forward in your house of self. So really what it's saying is you do have to pay attention to your need for play and your need to move and do things farther away. I think that with Pluto coming up on your Saturn, money will be connected to your mom or to the elderly for a while. Like for 6 or 7 years, that's a strong connection for career. And I think you're learning how to be around that energy. But I do think Saturn in Sagittarius, you may have work from other cultures, but it's about self-promotion to people of other cultures or other places like farther away. That's where you can look for help. It is going to get better. It's going to get better. Right now, Jupiter going forward is going to help you. And then after that, it's going to be probably more of wanting to travel and get away, needing personal freedom. And then you're going to have some opportunities when Saturn gets into later degrees of Sagittarius, which is after, I think it's going to be after October time. Let me look it up for you real quick. After December. So the beginning of next year, you're going to have more opportunity to really get money through travel. But I think until next year, you're more inclined to do trips for your mental health as opposed to actually going somewhere. Once Jupiter gets into Libra in October, you're going to have more money coming in then. And it's going to be through partnership. Yeah. Jupiter will be going your house of networking and money from career and really connecting to others. And then when he gets into Libra, so it's going to be like a good part of September. And then, let me see. No, I think Jupiter goes, is it September 9th? It might be September 9th. I don't know why I keep thinking October. September 9th, Jupiter goes into Libra. So there's a really strong opportunity for partnering up with somebody come that time. And it could also be romantic, but it's going to be definitely around business or connections that you'll find in business that can either lead you to someone who knows about work or also wants to get involved with you in a partner situation, and then you could make money that way. So, and it doesn't mean necessarily you have to change jobs. Change places where you live. But, the energy to wander and go somewhere else is more a personal thing, and it has to do with how you see yourself and your value and your worth and being able to have a certain sense of freedom around yourself and the freedom to go and do. So, that Sagittarius energy in the first house is about that. Pardon me?
That's part of why I want to move. I want to move like over to like the Tampa area, not necessarily in Tampa, but like the suburbs of Tampa, maybe Dunedin, Clearwater, or somewhere. I don't know exactly where yet.
I'm from Brandon. I lived in Brandon growing up in high school, so I get Tampa suburbs. But I was on the wrong side of it. I didn't have a lot of water over there, just the Alafaya River. But Alafaya. I don't know. I live off of Alafaya, so I think it was Alafaya River. Anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
yeah,
familiar
it's
with that
common.
area out there, East
Are you?
Orlando. I used to live out there back in the early '80s. So yeah, I know.
Did you?
I know how Fayetteville Trail.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I appreciate the phone call, and I wish you luck. And call back in, as the planets go back direct later on in the summer, and we can look at your chart again and see what's influencing you a little bit more. You've got some planets going into the house of partnership right now, and it's also money. So definitely your chart shows me that money from partnering with other people is a strong possibility. Okay? And romance. I think there's some romance for you coming. Trust me.
Romance is good.
Yeah. You got
Wonderful.
Uranus is moving out of the house of romance, which will bring some attractive qualities. And, yeah, I think definitely you've got some stuff coming in romantically and partners. So look for that in networking. Okay?
Cool. Very cool. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad I called.
You're welcome.
You gave me a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, and you can listen to the show in archive on iTunes. Just type in AstroEnergy or on my website. If you want to hear it again, just because it goes by so quick when you're talking live. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds
All right.
great. Thanks so much.
All right. Take care. You're welcome.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
You too. My pleasure. Bye. Okay, that's the show for the week, and come back next week because we like talking to you. And don't forget to call in. Take care. Bye. Thanks for stopping by AstroEnergy this week. If you would like to get a hold of Shelley Overton, you can get her at astrologerangel.com, on Facebook at AstroEnergy or Astrologer Angel. The music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com with additional music by Ironwood Rain. Check them out on the net at Ironwood Rain.